Hello everyone, this is Trevor with Mando Deck Tech, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Anakin leader from Twilight of the Republic. Now, before we dive in, if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel as I'll bring you more deck lists, my thoughts on different decks and the meta, and also tournament reports as we begin to kind of see what this new tournament season looks like as we get ready for the new PQ season. Now, before we dive in, let's go ahead and take a look at Anakin. Now, the Anakin leader has a couple of interesting things about it. We saw in the early pre-release weekend that the Anakin ability, a lot of us were kind of sleeping on because we saw he was extremely strong and limited with his ability to trade up. On the leader side that we see that he says action, deal 2 damage to your base, attack with a unit. If it's attacking a unit, it gets +2/+0 for this attack. This allows you to value trade up, have units that wouldn't normally be able to kill things, kind of punch up, and it allows you to kind of create a bigger board state and go a lot wider than your opponent can because you're playing, maybe like big booty guys like a Grogu or something like that. They can stick around after he kills something. So his ability is extremely strong. Now, also, the cool thing about his ability is it's really kind of introducing this new idea of using your health pool as a resource. So being able to use, deal damage to your base to pump up your guys, and then it actually empowers his unit side as he comes in on resource turn 6. He comes in as a 4/7 overwhelm who gets bonus attack for every 5 damage on your base. A lot of times you're going to see this guy become a 6/7 or a 7/7. He comes out really, really big, and he has this amazing ability to kind of not just close out games, but also kind of come out of nowhere and win games and shock your opponent with exactly how hard he can hit, particularly if you're pairing it with like a DL-44 blaster or a Jedi lightsaber or something of that nature. I mean, Anakin can hit extremely hard. So today we're going to take a look at 2 decks that have been floating around. So at the SCG Columbus this last weekend, we saw that the Anakin Vigilance deck did really well. I've already kind of talked about that in another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at a Vigilance deck that I've kind of tweaked now that we kind of see what the meta looks like. And we're also going to take a look at a Cunning version of the deck because I believe that deck has a lot of legs with it as well. Speaking of Cunning, let's go ahead and jump into that one first. So with Cunning, what we see is that we have the ability to use the big hotness of the new set. Now there are 2 of them. So with this card allowing us to cheat out things, we have Grogu, we have the Anakin's Interceptor, R2-D2, and Hotshot V-Wing as our early turns. We can then, because they all have either the Force or Republic trait, we can use now there are 2 of them to get out an early Anakin or Plo Koon. Now, a lot of people say, is Anakin great? He's a 5 for a 6/6, that's the unit is, but on turn 2, that is extremely stout. Also, his coordinate ability to be able to say that on attack you get to draw a card is really good whenever you're trying to fuel an aggression deck. And a lot of times, aggression sometimes maybe runs out of gas, but having an early Anakin on the table kind of helps fuel the fire and keep you kind of on top of your opponent, which is what you're trying to do with this deck. Of course, we're going to be running things like, Surprise Strike and Waylay. Those are like the key cards for any Cunning deck. But is this deck's ability to use things like Red 3, Anakin's ability to kind of get Grogu to swing for 3, is extremely strong, because now Grogu as a 0/5 has the ability to tap a unit, but he's also trading with Battlefield Marine or other ground units that we kind of see early is extremely strong. Also, things like Cassian Andor as a 3/5. If you have Red 3 and you have Anakin, now he's killing Poe Dameron or he's killing Zuckuss. I mean, that's an amazing way that this deck can kind of pushes up. Now, one thing you're going to see in both of these decks is that we're featuring a card Bravado. What Bravado does is it allows you to ready a unit. So this is a card that we didn't really see a whole lot of until some of these bigger leader units came out. Because what Anakin allows you to do, like in this deck here, if Anakin comes out and you've got, 10, 15 points of damage on your base, he's coming out as, let's say he's a 7/7. So he attacks for 7, Bravado, untap, attack for another 7. That's huge. That's a 14-point swing. And if you've done any type of early pressure, that might end the game right there on turn 6, resource turn 6 when Anakin comes out. So this is what the shell, I think, is pretty strong for a Cunning deck moves forward. Now, I did talk to some people that were at SCG Columbus this last weekend. There were people out floating around playing this deck and doing pretty well with it. So I think this is definitely a cool archetype we can kind of continue to build around. But this is kind of the shell that I have right now. And I think it's really, really strong. I really like Millennium Falcon right now in this deck. because we are running into a pretty heavy space meta with the Jango Tarkintown decks running around. So I think Millennium Falcon is extremely strong in that matchup. Now, speaking of good against Jango Tarkintown, since that seems to be the flavor of the month deck, let's take a look at Anakin Vigilance. Now, what Anakin Vigilance does is, of the two decks, I think that you can punch really hard quicker, maybe with the Cunning deck. Vigilance, on the other hand, does some really cheeky things I've really been enjoying. One of the things is it has a pretty strong space presence early, as we're able to do Restored Arc into Green Squadron A-Wing. You'll notice here that I didn't run the Anakin's Interceptor. I think you can kind of go either way with that one. I've tried it one deck or the other. It just depends on how much damage we're going to have on the base. In this particular version, I like Green Squadron A-Wing because we are going to be using a little bit of Restore so that we can use his ability a little bit more liberally. So what we're doing here is Green Squadron A-Wing, Restored Arc 170, Sabine, and Quill are your early turns. Now, a lot of people look at Quill and go, hey, is that something I really want to do? But if you look at the red cards in this deck, see, Quill has the ability, when he attacks, he restores 1, and when you discard a card, if this shares a color of your base, you get to draw it. But if we look at the red cards in the deck, we've got, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's a pretty good odds that we're going to draw a blue card. And I just love the ability, again, like I said previously, to be able to use an ability to kind of keep fueling an aggressive deck. I also like the Restore units. Like if you look at Restored Arc 170, you've got Quill and you've got Yoda. All of these units have Restore, which means that when you use Anakin's ability on it, you're either getting a 50% discount in the case of Arc 170 and Quill, or you're just getting that ability off for free with Yoda. Also, Kanan Jarrus. Again, when he attacks, discard a card off the top, you're going to be able to heal off of Kanan's ability as well. So all of these units are going to be able to use Anakin's ability more liberally than maybe like your Cunning deck, because you're not really worried about your health that much. You're constantly restoring it. I really like that play. Another thing this deck does, it gives you the option to use Jedi Lightsaber, which is insanely powerful on Anakin. It might be the best character we've seen come out that for the lightsaber, and the reason is because the Jedi lightsaber ability, when attached, gives whatever they're attacking -2/-2. For Anakin's ability, he also has Overwhelm when he comes out. So whenever we put a Jedi lightsaber on Anakin and he attacks, let's say he's attacking a crafty smuggler, well, you've killed it with Jedi lightsaber, you're still going to overwhelm with the rest of the damage. So that's a huge swing that we see with Anakin and the Jedi lightsaber. I heard some pretty funny stories from the Columbus tournament that some people lost to Anakin dual-wielding Jedi lightsabers, and it happened pretty regularly, and I think that's pretty funny. So that's why I think that's definitely a 3 of in this deck. And because we're playing Jedi lightsaber and we're also playing Perilous Position in this version of the deck, I think Perilous Position might be one of the best cards in the new set. What this card does is it not just has the tempo play of tapping something down, but getting the -2/-2 against the current field that we're seeing. The fact that it kills 7th Fleet Defender, it kills a lot of the issues that we see with Jango Tarkintown, Perilous Position fixes. It also kills the P-38, it kills the Lurking TIE Phantom. I'm a big fan of Perilous Position. Also, in a mirror match, they bring out Anakin and you're able to tap him down, and that could just be the tempo that you need to overcome a mirror match. So I think Perilous Position is extremely good. Now, the thing that I love about this deck is I don't know if you've ever heard, I'm a big fan of Razor Crest, and I just think we haven't found the right deck for it. I think this is the one. We're playing Jedi Lightsaber, we're playing Perilous Position. Now we can go pull in Razor Crest and get some recursion with that. I just like him in the current meta. I think, having good space units is good. So I like the fact that Razor Crest is a 3/4. He can punch up with Anakin. He does have Restore 2, so it's like he's getting to be able to use that ability for free. I think that's extremely strong. So, curving out the rest of the deck, we've got Poe Dameron. Of course, we're going to be running 2 Bravados. That's kind of the staple to me of any Anakin deck. And then Obi-Wan and then Luke Skywalker. So, these are the 2 decks that I've been looking at right now. I've played them a good bit. I really like them both. They do different things. If you have access to using 3x of the, now there are 2 of them, give the Cunning deck a try. It's a lot of fun. There's nothing quite like getting a Plo Koon out on turn 2. It's a lot of fun. Now, the Vigilance deck here, I think, is probably going to be the one we're going to be seeing more of. I think it's well suited in the current meta against Jango Tarkintown, but only time will tell. And speaking of which, I think we've only got a couple more weeks until we're going to get an announcement, and we're going to start seeing PQ season starting up, and I'm super excited about that. Until next time, let's keep it rolling. Thanks a lot. Bye.